I'm here with Michael Boyd, Chief Information Security Officer of Providence Health Services, a not-for-profit Catholic healthcare system that includes 32 hospitals, more than 350 physician clinics, senior services, supportive housing, and many other health and educational services. Michael's speaking on BYOD practices at the Privacy and Security Forum here. How long, Michael, has Providence Health Services had a BYOD policy in place, and how has it been? How have you been able to develop it so far?
So I think it's safe to say we've had a BYOD policy, though we haven't called it that probably since I arrived there 6.5 years ago. It was much less formal around how we dealt with personally owned devices, though they were permitted in a certain respect and not in others. About 4 years ago, we really formalized a set of controls on devices, whether they were personally owned or Providence owned. And we had kind of two classes, as many organizations did. We had BlackBerries that we had gravitated towards when that infrastructure was kind of the only show in town. And then as the consumer device market really exploded, it was evident we needed to support others in a certain way. So we started doing that, set sort of a minimum specification, and had to take the hard line of, if it doesn't meet these requirements, then you won't be able to use it in a work capacity. So about 4.5, 5 years, I think is about where we're going on now.
Had you always planned on allowing personal devices in the healthcare setting? Have there been concerns about, well, you mentioned it, some of these devices coming in that don't meet security standards?
Sure. So I think even the organizations that hadn't planned on it eventually have kind of landed on, well, they're going to be floating around and being used in some capacity, either officially or not. So we took the line very early on that we shouldn't, we certainly want to embrace transformation in healthcare, and that includes making people more productive with the tools they want to use, and not being not adopting the us versus them mentality of, well, if it's not 100% secure, it doesn't have any place here. So we really kind of gravitated towards that, and certainly the technology has matured over time to give us a lot more latitude in how we secure it better than we did at first. So yeah, I think we took a very conscious approach of, we know we're going to allow people to use their own devices, and we'll probably grow that over time, more and more personally owned devices.
In terms of security, what are the top threats you see right now that you have to address with BYOD?
So one of the top concerns, certainly as represented by the breach statistics, is the data that gets onto the device versus the data that's just accessed via the device, and there is a big difference. So a huge part of our strategy is to keep the amount of data that we care about on the device to a minimum and have people use it as a tool to access, so thin client technologies. And that actually doesn't extend to just the personally owned devices and the mobile devices. That's extending to the full application space. We'd really like to do that to keep the data in a much more controlled environment. So that's a big one, is making sure that as many use cases as we've got that we can do that, we are doing that. Probably the second one is, and I think this has become less of an issue over the past 1.5 years, is the sheer variety of those devices. So 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when we were we were looking at iOS, we were looking at BlackBerry, we were looking at Android, and we're still looking at all of those, obviously, but the flavors have changed. That space has changed so much. The variety is still there, but for the most part, all of them have gotten to a place where they've recognized the enterprise as a serious and legitimate play for them, so they're supporting a lot of the basic security principles that we'd want, and more so with every release. I think the last one is anticipating the next use case, because it just, every day you turn around, there's another thing there that you say, wow, I wouldn't have foreseen that being used. So now we just have to foresee everything being used in the healthcare environment.
Okay, well, Michael, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.